everyone. Welcome to episode number 650 of this here electronic engineering podcast called Amelia's Weekly Fish Fry, brought to you by eejournal.com and written, produced, and hosted by me, Amelia Dalton. Let's talk about the supply chain, my friends. My guest this week is Athinia CEO Adam Schaefer. Adam and I discuss the biggest challenges facing the supply chain today, the actions we can take to help solve those issues, and how Athinia's industry-wide many-to-many ecosystem helps device makers, material suppliers, and equipment suppliers share and exchange data. So without further ado, please welcome Adam to Fish Fry.
Hi, Adam. Thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you very much. Great to be here.
Absolutely. Okay, so first off, Adam, let's talk about the supply chain. What do you think are the biggest challenges facing the supply chain today?
Thanks, Millie. That's a good question. It's actually a lot of good questions because I think there's a lot of different supply chains when we think about supply chains. And the area that I'm particularly focused in on is semiconductor manufacturing supply chains, which have gotten a lot of attention in the last few years. To me, the biggest challenge is that supply chains have done such an incredible job over the last 15, 20, 25 years of really driving price. Some of that is at the expense of cost. And so what we've seen with different urgent incidences like Fukushima in Japan or COVID is that just in time sometimes can be high risk relative to just in case. And so when we think about supply chains and what their biggest challenges are, it's to really weigh that difference and to be able to manage properly that balance between price and cost, make sure that your memory is short enough that you can continue to act and drive the business through the supply chain, and make sure that your memory is long enough that you understand those risks and you prepare for them.
That makes sense. Now, Adam, what kind of actions can we take to help solve these issues?
Yeah, there's a lot of different things, and there's a lot of people working in supply chains who are working very hard. I often say that there's no such thing as a high risk or low risk supply chain. Everything is kind of medium high risk. And the reason is that it takes a lot of work to keep these things going. When you have a very complex supply chain, like with semiconductors as an example, you're trying to build the most complicated products the world's ever known. And so you can't just switch. You certainly can't compromise quality or availability at any point. So everything becomes somewhat of a potential bottleneck, and keeping those flows happening is really what's important. So the actions that you can take to solve them is really being able to work with your suppliers. Oftentimes that's work with your suppliers and your customers in your entire value chain at the same time, at the right level. So if that is focused on availability due to logistics or geopolitical risks, or if it's focused on quality in terms of extremely high purity or extremely specific material properties, then you need to be understanding your supply chain and working with your suppliers to make that all continue to flow smoothly into your final product.
So, Adam, I saw that Athinia is one of the only industry-wide many-to-many ecosystems in which device makers, material suppliers, and equipment suppliers can share and exchange any data. So, talk to me about that.
Yeah, in your previous question, you asked what can be done, and I said it's working with your suppliers and your customers across the value chain. And working with is not just giving inventory levels and meeting specs, it's really digging deep into the product details about what will work and how do you keep it working. And so if you take the example of what Athinia is, it is a platform for providing a security trust layer to connect data systems together. Everyone has data. Everyone has good data. People are working really hard to incorporate digital transformations and AI into their data management systems. But if a company like a device maker and their supplier each have these precious systems that they worked very hard on, they need to have a way to not only communicate together, but to communicate securely and in a structured way. And that's what Athinia does. It allows for fabs, for example, in semiconductors to work with multiple suppliers on a single platform, no matter where they are, if they're using Excel spreadsheets or if they're using sophisticated systems of their own, or if they're using SAP system or MES system or a bunch of other acronyms to control these things. And what Athinia can then enable is not only that communication, the structure of the data, but security of the data. So you can understand where your suppliers are without owning their information or exposing their information or exposing your information to them. Drive a correlation. What is all those variables that we talk about that can become overwhelming? So what's important and what isn't important? And then drive your analysis on what it truly is important to optimize your process over and over and over again with all of your suppliers instantly within the same platform. And from the supplier side, they can do that same structure with all of their customers wherever they are, whatever structure they're using.
So, Adam, Athinia has industry grade security, right? So, talk to me about how that works.
Yeah, I think when you think about security, there's lots of different ways to be secure. And when we say industry grade or military grade or government grade security, we work in industry with highly precious IP. And that's both within the products themselves, what it takes to make those products, the equipment, parameters to make those products. Geopolitically, this is critically important both for the companies themselves and for economic and national security for the West. All these things are important, and it's not any more or less important than the state secrets that Department of Defense or intelligence agencies globally are using today. And that's why Athinia, as a joint venture of Palantir and Merck KGaA, Darmstadt, Germany, is somewhat uniquely qualified. There are lots of ways to lock down data. Some of the leading software companies in the world, your Azure, AWS, Google, et cetera, have secure data structures, and we can work with them to provide an extra security layer in order to enable both the structured security of that data, it's locked down, as well as this normalization and obfuscation of the data. It's protected as it is shared. And within that shared space, now you have what I like to call a digital top secret room. If you work for the government, you call it a digital SCIF. I don't remember what that acronym stands for, but you can look it up. And that digital secret, top secret room allows that work to happen, only sharing what you want, when you want, with whom you want, in a fully reversible process to protect that data at every stage.
So, talk to me about the areas where Athinia supports to enhance collaboration, efficiency, and data driven decision making, all within that semiconductor industry.
Yeah, I think that's exactly it, is if you are making decisions, whether it's a in-process productivity, high volume manufacturing quality decisions, basically something's gone wrong. What's gone wrong? Let's figure it out. Let's play that blame game as fast as possible. Having a data sharing platform and structure allows you to really understand what variables impact the yield and performance of your process. You can isolate those and you can solve them quickly. Further to the left of your process development, as you're really developing and yielding a process, you have to qualify every piece of equipment, every material, every batch needs to be qualified to perform and to hit the yields necessary. And having the data sharing will tell you exactly what matters and what doesn't, allow you to apply optimizations and high-level statistical methods like the Athinia Bayesian optimization analytical process, which sounds like fancy statistics, but it's really just a way of driving uncertainties out of a process faster. So you're qualifying faster and you're getting to the yields necessary faster. Everything needs to happen faster and you're using less materials to get there. If you look at that quality example, that's the single dollar sign return. It gets better and better the further upstream you get into your process with that secure data sharing.
Fantastic. All right, Adam, it's time for your off the cuff question. So, if you could have one meal right now, doesn't matter if it's on the other side of the world, you need a passport to get there, what would you have?
I think the easy answer to that question, since you and I are both in Portland, is probably the first time I tried Pizza Shoals back when it was still on Shoals about 22 years ago. I love pizza. I love making pizza. I love eating pizza. Pizza Shoals is a great restaurant here in Portland. And in their original location, my First time I tried it, the first thing I said is, "This is great. I'm going to have it 100 times," and I probably have some.
What a good choice. I haven't had someone come on my show and give me a Portland restaurant that I have been to countless times. So, what a good selection. I love it. Well, Adam, I think that's all I have time for today. Thank you so much for joining me.
Appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Well, folks, that's all I've got for this week's Fish Fry. But I do have some super cool interviews coming up in the next couple of months. Hey, have you checked out EE Journal on social media yet? Well, you should. You can find us at facebook.com/EEJournal. If LinkedIn is your thing, I dig it. You can follow us or me on LinkedIn as well. And we are also on Blue Sky Social and Mastodon too. And we also have a YouTube channel, youtube.com/EEJournal. Folks, it is chock full of all kinds of techie videos, including our very popular Chalk Talk webcast series, hosted by me, and our animated series called Libby's Lab. And of course, you can subscribe to our EE Journal YouTube channel as well. Thank you everyone for tuning in. If you know of any cool new technology or heck you just want to chat, shoot me a line at Amelia, that's Amelia, at eejournal.com, or post a comment on our forums on EE Journal. For the week of September 19th, 2025, I'm Amelia Dalton, and you've been fried.